Hey everybody, Douglas Blair Roberts here, the Super Vader 400, and of course the brown skin human coming back at you with another movie series review intro. My previous movie series review intro, whenever I uploaded to YouTube, for some odd reason, the newest, the Crush 40 upload of Sonic What I'm Made Of, their uploaded version for some odd reason has a copyright on it, and whenever I see, and the copyright is actually not a problem according to YouTube, but if I ever want to set this account up for monetization, it will be a problem. So I'm going to do a remade version using two non-copyrighted songs. Even though this is an intro for movie reviews and rants, the What I'm Made Of will from now on this channel will only be the outro, and I'll use one of the old school non-copyrighted uploads of Sonic What I'm Made Of. The intros will feature the Sonic Heroes theme, which I haven't used in a long time, and of course the iconic We Can that I use a lot now. Everywhere on every other platform, the intros, I will use the old intro. So with that being said, let's get started right now. Alright, now it's time for my second review of Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, this review is pretty much the same as the previous review, which is this review, I'm able, after watching the film for multiple times now, I'm able to calm down. I'm able to calm myself calm myself down and point out the flaws. When I saw it the first time, I was blown away. So when I see the first film and I enjoy the film, it's hard to point out. It's hard to find and point out any flaws in the film. Now, after calming myself down, I still love the film and still think it's one of the best ever. It's the best film of the pandemic. It's one of the best. It's one of the best of the pandemic. It's already the highest grossing film ever, and one of the biggest and baddest MCU films around. But despite being all that, it still has its sins. Of course, yeah. The problem I have is firstly the spell. Doctor Strange. When Peter Parker came up with the spell to wish that everyone forgot about Peter Parker as Spider-Man, I quote unquote liked that part, but I felt they went into that part way too quickly. I wanted to see more of what Peter Parker's life was like, not as Peter Parker's life is like, not as Peter Parker's life was like. Now that everyone knows he's Peter Parker, he's Spider-Man, that he's Spider-Man. I want to see more of what it was like, and they kind of just glossed over that and kind of took the easy way out with this make everyone forget spell. The character Liz Tubes from Spider-Man Homecoming. She has become a model. I think she's become a model in that universe, and she said Peter Parker was a liar. Would it be cool to actually see that actress, see that character, instead of us getting us a magazine of what she thinks of Peter Parker. Now, it doesn't mean anything, because by the end of the film, Peter Parker has to do another spell where he makes everyone forget who he was. But before we get to that, I felt that was taking the easy way out with the do-over spell right away. We should see more of his life being in shambles. And you think that, we should see more of his life being in shambles, and him getting a chance to clear his name. We had a cameo from Daredevil, but they didn't really do much with it. It was a pointless cameo. He really had no real impact on the storyline, on the main storyline, the multiverse. When Peter Parker wished everyone to forget who he was, why did it matter? Why did it matter that people know he is Peter Parker to bring over? Why couldn't supervillains just come over anyway? Because why couldn't he come over anyway? Like, why couldn't he just do some quote-unquote Mortal Kombat thing where you break time, where you quote-unquote break time or merge the worlds together, bringing people from multiple universe? Why was it people who knew who Peter Parker, Spider-Man? Why was it that people who knew who Peter Parker, Spider-Man, why was it only they could come over? Why was it only they could come over? Then you had Venom come over. You had quote-unquote Venom come over. You had quote-unquote Venom come over. Venom and Eddie Brock come over, and guess what? You did nothing with it. He just sat at the bar the entire film. Then got transported back to his world with a piece of his symbiote being left in the quote-unquote MCU. So why did it matter that only people from Peter Parker who knew? Why couldn't multiple people come? So that was one problem I had. The second problem, that was the second problem I had. Third problem was Aunt May, of course, Peter Parker and Aunt May, how dumb they were. Like Doctor Strange said, I can understand if it was people from your timeline, but Peter Parker was trying to do everything, being a hero, do everything he could to help those guys. Their fate was to fight Spider-Man and ultimately die. Like Doctor Strange said, that was another timeline. That has nothing to do with this timeline. And constantly allowing them to live in this timeline will have severe consequences in the future, and it did. Doctor Strange was right, yet Peter Parker Yet Peter Parker traps him in the mirror dimension, which I'm going to get to this later. Traps him in the mirror dimension. Traps him in the mirror dimension, and quote unquote, this is the next problem I've had. He, with Aunt May there, he allows multiple super villains in his house, in Aunt May's house, and with Aunt May there, have Aunt May and Captain, I mean not Captain, Happy Hogan, have them go somewhere. Why would you have them here around all these villains? And because of that, that led to Aunt May's death. That led to Aunt May's death. He had to know that was going to happen. You really think they were, after seeing the power and seeing what they could be in this universe, you really think they were going to go back to their universe and go back to their regular, boring, dull lives before they got powers? Come on, you're a superhero. That's what Aunt May and Peter Parker, Spider-Man, were dumbasses in this movie. We're straight up dumbasses in this movie. Next problem. This comes back later. I'm gonna come back to this part. Yeah, I'm gonna mention it now. Electro, when he shoots Doc Ock, who's the only villain to ever actually become the only villain to stay good, to stay with Peter Parker's plan of turning him back to normal and sending him back to their world. Electro turns on him by electrocuting him outside the window. Yet later, when Doc Ock shows up in the final battle, Electro says, "I got this," and is friendly towards him instead of shooting and killing him. And because Electro didn't shoot and kill him, Doc Ock grabbed him and stabbed him with the cure, turning him back to his normal self. This is the issue I have. You shot him earlier. You think he wasn't going to retaliate? Why do you think he was on your side? Well, because he said he was on your side? You should have known he was going to double cross you, man. Come on. Now we get to Doctor Strange. Not only did you misuse Venom, Eddie Brock, and Matt Murdock, Daredevil, you misused Doctor Strange in this film. Now I understand, yes, it's a Spider-Man film, but you made it now in Marvel and in superhero films. You can have superhero team-up movies like this. You can have Doctor Strange heavily involved in the plot. That's actually all I want to see. Going into the film, I just wanted Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, Tom Hardy's Venom, and quote-unquote Doctor Strange. That's enough to do with your Sinister Six right there. That's enough to do with your Sinister, or have Venom as a bad guy, part of the Sinister Six, and have Doctor Strange, and if Doctor Strange, Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire, deal with them. Those three alone. We didn't need pussy-ass Andrew Garfield. But just so we could do this Spider-Man multiverse, the 3 live-action Spider-Mans teaming up together in the final battle and failing miserably in the beginning, we trap Doctor Strange in the mirror. We have Doctor Strange fight Peter Parker in a pretty good fight and trap him in the mirror dimension until the end of the film, and he only gets to come in and do one cool moment where he gets to save Ned and Michelle Jones from the Lizard and set the Lizard up to be cured. He only gets one cool spot at the end. These type of villains, Electro, Sandman. Yeah, I know there's Spider-Man villains, but these are the type of villains you call, and Doc Ock, you call on Doctor Strange from. Doctor Strange is pretty much the antithesis, except he's magic, whereas they're the same, except they're all science and he's magic. But Doctor Strange is the one you called to deal with this. Doctor Strange was the one you called to deal with Mysterio in the last movie. He's the same, just real and magic, whereas Mysterio is fake and CGI and science and stuff. So misusing Doctor Strange, especially when his movie is next. Why would you make him look bad in a Spider-Man movie when his movie, The Multiverse of Madness, is next? Next, Andrew Garfield, still lame, monotone, try hard, want to be funny, but at least he had two good actors to play off of. The quote unquote, he had two actors to quote unquote play off of, making it more tolerable here, and they featured him as less as possible and successfully redeemed himself from the horrible Amazing Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man 2 by saving the show, which was pretty cool, and him curing Maxwell Dillon, finally curing and saving Maxwell Dillon and Lizard. Then in the final battle with them in the beginning, they made them all jokes. With them struggling. You fight the villains the same way you fought and beat them in your movies. And I can understand Garfield because his Spider-Man was a pussy, but Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire were way tougher than what we saw here in this movie. They're talking about they suck just because they were the only heroes in their universe. They never fought as a team before. Tobey Maguire, you and Harry technically fought as a team in Spider-Man 3. So, yeah, then another thing, speaking of that fight scene, they filmed everything in the dark, man, just like Thor 2011, which made it difficult to tell everything that comes on. Why don't you film that in the dark? It made it difficult to tell what was going on in those quote-unquote fights. Quote-unquote fights. So, yeah. These were the issues I had with an otherwise awesome film. I was really excited for the Spider-Man 4. Now I'm not too sure about the future of the MCU, but I'm pretty sure going to MCU they'll put together another great Spider-Man. But yeah, I don't see how fun it will be without Aunt May and those key characters in Spider-Man's life from now on. I don't see how fun it would quote unquote be. It would quote unquote. I hated him killing off Aunt May. I hated that too, but I respect her for being ballsy to do something like that, and at least trying to give the haters, and they say who in my opinion they should have ignored, trying to give them what they want, trying to give them what they want. I also wish the other side characters like Flash and J.B. Smooth's character were in the film more. They were just relegated to short cameos and comedy relief moments. So yeah. So yeah, that was Spider-Man No Way Home. Other than all those criticisms, the greatest movie, the greatest MCU movie, the greatest and biggest MCU movie of all time, even bigger than the Avengers, bigger than the quote-unquote Avengers. This was worth the ticket. I hope to see the film before it leaves theaters. I chose not to see it because I didn't want to pay a ticket to see Andrew Garfield, not only in a Spider-Man film, but him steal the spotlight from Holland. And I'm happy that didn't happen here. Here they featured him less and less. And I'm already sick of the fans trying to give him the most credit for the success of this film, for the success of this film when his series alone failed. And his series, like I said, it was William Dafoe. The last thing is the Andrew Garfield film. Andrew Garfield fans who refuse to go back in the hole they crawled out of. They got their closure. Now go back in the hole you crawled out of and never come out again. And let Tom Holland have his time in the sun. I got sick of people still sick of people bashing the MCU Spider-Man, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the Sam Raimi just to justify and excuse the bullshit that was the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. Still jealous, still angry that film series was canceled in favor of the MCU, and that film with all of the dick riding, all of the hype surrounding it, still couldn't beat the Amazing still couldn't beat the Sam Raimi MCU Spider-Man. They still couldn't gross over $1 billion and got their butts kicked by Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, a team of B and C is the hero, and the worst movie of all time, the Michael Bay film Transformers 4: Age of Extinction back in 2014. 2012, The Dark Knight Rises, and Avengers 2012 straight kicked your ass at the box office. And you would have lost even more money. You would have got your butt kicked even more if Twilight decided to go in summer of 2012 instead of late 2012. Amazing Spider-Man films suck, man. Amazing Spider-Man films are trash. Amazing Spider-Man films suck, boy. And his characters, they were the second and third wheels in this film. Andrew Garfield was the third wheel to Tobey and Tom Holland. And the villains, Electro and Sandman, and Electro and Lizard were second and fourth wheels to Doc Ock, Norman Osborn, and Sandman. It was Tobey's universe in film carrying this film. They chose the awesome William Dafoe to lead this Sinister 16. They didn't choose any lame ass Mark Wahlberg's villains because his villains suck. They were just second, third, and fourth wheels to which color. Andrew was the third wheel to Tom Holland and Tobey. Notice in the final battle with Goblin, the final battle with Norman Osborn's Goblin, all he was doing was watching with him throwing that curing and throwing the cure Norman Osborn. They just needed him to deal with Electro and Lizard. And Lizard, thank God, who was also terrible. Lizard was also terrible. Only had a couple of lines in this film. A couple of lines in this film. So as you can see, yeah, Andrew Garfield's universe still sucks. It was featured less as possible, so that's good. So yeah, I do hope to see this in theaters, though. But like I said, I chose not to because I was having a bad day. I needed something to put me in a good mood, and this was it. Then I didn't want to see Andrew Garfield take the spotlight. So yeah, this was my newly remade review, and I guess sort of rant on the Spider-Man. This is everything I didn't like. Now that I'm seeing, I can calm myself down and explain all the flaws, and those were the flaws and issues I had with the quote-unquote film. Other than that, still the best film ever. This one, No Way Home, is way better than Into the Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse doesn't compare. That's some lame cartoon in comparison to this awesome film ever. And film most recently, another good thing, just recently hit I think it's about to hit the 2 billion mark. So there's no more excuses. Another thing I like about this film, no more pandemic excuses. I hate the COVID-19 pandemic hysteria. I was sick of it from day one. I'm sick of people blowing it out of proportion. To this day, I still think they're exaggerating the deaths and they're overly blowing it out of proportion. A lot of my favorite events and a lot of my favorite television shows got canceled because of the pandemic. But this film shows you can't use the pandemic as anymore. Then I'm sick of hearing the pandemic now when in 2021 is not as bad. In 2022 or let's just say in 2021 it wasn't as bad as it was in 2020. I said 2021. I still keep forgetting it's 2022 now. In 2021, it wasn't as bad as it was in 2020. 2020, you can go out and do stuff. Back at the sporting and wrestling events, we can have people in the crowds now, and you don't see that much of a problem. Now. When I go to the store, I wear my mask just to be safe, but I see a lot of people there with no mask, no nothing. But this film shows almost about to make 2 billion at the box office. Shows pandemic is not an excuse anymore, and I'm sick of hearing about it. I've always thought it was I'm even angry about it now because a lot of my favorite shows and stuff were canceled. But yeah. So yeah, you don't want to hear the rest of the music? Turn the video off right now.